All right, guys, what's going on? Back again. Welcome aboard to a Statue Fit episode. Today's episode, I got a very special guest, Hersovyac. So he's a longtime subscriber of mine. He's been following the scene. He's been following, Alex's channel for a while as well. And very underrated individual, very underrated channel. He's been putting in the work for like a decade now. And it's only now that he's really like getting his flowers on socials and like YouTube channel, and I'm very happy for his progress, and we're gonna dive into some very interesting stuff today. So welcome aboard.
Thank you, man. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm really happy to be here, and welcome to everyone.
Yeah, man. So it's a regular talk. It's funny, like to those watching, we actually had like a 3-hour talk on Skype years ago, and I actually thought all this time that we posted it, but it turns out it was never posted. So it's like,
no,
it was just a regular talk. So good, man. But Hersovyac was always. Am I even pronouncing it properly?
Yeah. Hersovyac, yeah.
Hersovyac. Okay, yeah. I was never sure if I was pronouncing it properly, But anyways, we're just gonna get into some questions, and not really in any particular order. But let's get back into like your background, how long you've been training for, or how long have you been training seriously for? What made you want to get into it?
Okay, all right. Well, first thing first, I've been training 11 years now, and it's been 11 years of serious lifting. I never did like some silly training years of lifting.
Hello?
Oh.
Yeah, it cut off for a sec. No worries. I'm gonna edit that out.
All right, no problem. Yeah. So yeah, well, as I was saying, I did some tracks too, some 100 meter, 200 meter, and relay. And so I've been basically always athletic, or at least in sport. And with time, I stopped doing this kind of club sport activities, and I just went more and more into training. And I began at 17 years of age, and I've not stopped ever since. So yeah, and I became a PT because of that, since it helped me so much. And I had some result, and people were asking me advice. So I was like, oh, might as well work in it.
Nice one. So who are your inspirations coming up? Because I know you like old school. That's one thing we both have in common. Like I know you like the old school, like the Steve Reeves and
yeah.
Me, like Reeves, I find it cool, but like I really like the old school stuff.
Yeah, same.
Him in particular, but like I get off on like I watch a lot of like Zach Nash and like just Iron Culture and stuff like that. But
oh yeah, nice stuff. Yeah. Well, the first thing that really made me want to go into bodybuilding was a pic of Serge Nubret, and he looked immaculate. I will send it to you if you want. And I was like 16, almost 17 at the time, and I was like, wow, is it even possible to look like that? But it was also a time where we'd have much more like actors that would be jacked for certain roles, like Hugh Jackman or Christian Bale. So I was more and more keen to not just train for my sport, but also just to look a certain way. And when I went online, it was really the golden era and the silver era athletes that caught my attention. So mostly Steve Reeves, Rich Park, as I said, Serge Nubret. Arnold also has a good charisma and a great cartoonish body. And that's about it. I never really was a fan of modern day bodybuilding, like from the 2010 area, and even the freaks like Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler, like the ultra big freaks. I never really liked it. I can respect the work and the commitment, but it never was what I really wanted to do and to have. So yeah.
I think that's really important, like having your own reasons to train, like we were talking about before this talk even happened, like Arthur Temozov, I'm pronouncing that properly, like he was my personal inspiration. And like I think people have to start being more honest with themselves about why they're doing certain things. You got certain people like training like powerlifters because they feel like they don't even care about powerlifters, or what I'm saying? Like I think people always say, what's the best program? You often hear that tossed around in like on YouTube, but I think that the best program is the one you're gonna stick to and the one that you get off on. and the one that you're not counting the hours. One of my clients who I've been with for a long time, he's like, man, by now I probably had like 3, 4, 5,000 workouts. Yeah, I'm like, man, who cares? Like, we're not even counting at this point. You know, it's like a lot of stress relief, and I feel like people when they don't really like what they're doing, they start counting it more.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? So it's
I mean, I realize too is that if I make a margin, an average of every hour I spent in the gym, I basically have a double PhD in gym training. So it's like, okay, cool, but again, so what? I'm still going to go training, you know. So I totally hear you on that, and I even did like a Q&A on Instagram. It had been a while. I did it like last week, and some of the questions were exactly that: is what's the perfect volume for intermediate? How many sets? How many reps? What exercise? So the guy wants a free program, and he wants me to magically guess how much he should do and how well, and you know, and it's like, is it really even that important when you're actually loving what you do and actually enjoying the process and trusting yourself to go to all your goals? You do not need me to nitpick at that, you know? So I totally hear you on that. It's some people do not like what they are doing, and it shows.
But like vice versa, when you like what you're doing, slimes will go even overboard, man. And it's like,
yeah,
not necessarily, you know, if you, it's like a bucket of water. Like how much weekly volume could you tolerate? But you see guys like I follow Keith West, the UK lifter, who I believe is natural, and the guy trains like every day. So it's like,
some people can do it, some people can put it off. It depends, and he's also very, very good at managing himself. Like he nailed auto-regulation. So training every day when you can auto-regulate yourself, yeah, no problem. I cannot do that. Each time I go in the gym, I go out of the gym, I have a limp, you know, so because I'm so tired. So I cannot do this, but I know people that can do it. So if it's working, keep doing it. If it's not working, maybe assess. But it's true that nowadays we have a lot of overthinking and a lot of trying to always optimize. I've come to hate this word, optimize training, bro. Do you optimize your training, Philip? Do you optimize your sleep? Do you optimize this? And science-based, what's your source? You know, it's like, my source is that I'm bigger than you. That's it.
Yeah, I stopped drinking the optimization Kool-Aid a long time ago, you know. But like even me, I fell into it, you know, with the one arm cable and like stuff like that. And like I've actually noticed that some of this optimal stuff, man, like all I know is my back was biggest when I was doing a lot of the stuff that people were not talking, like people were not really considered optimizing, you know, the snatch grip lifts, being a bit more loose on my rows, being a bit more loose on my shrugs. My back was the biggest when I was barely even using any cable lifts, by the way. Maybe some hammer strength stuff. But anyways, we're gonna jump into all that stuff, and I want to know your philosophies on that. But before we even like go down that rabbit hole, what's your current split like? Because I know in the past you've done like some full bodies, and I know for your recent stuff it looks more like full body. But how many days a week are you in the gym? The people want to know. What are you doing? Upper, lower? Are you doing a full body or what?
I'm doing a upper lower split, and I add in a full body training every 10 to 12 days. So basically I'm doing upper, I'm doing lower, I'm doing upper, lower, full body, upper, lower, and so on and so forth. And I take about 1 or 2 days off between every training sessions. So I will be anywhere from 3 to 4 times per week in the gym. Yeah, that's it. And the full body is not really a disclaimer, because I know some people will be asking me why. Because just I want to. I like it. I like to train full body, and it's like it's an opportunity for me to do a few exercises that cannot fit into my current upper lower split, but I like to do them. For example, the Bulgarian split squat. I just can't make it work when I'm already doing heavy deadlift and heavy squats, or I would need to do it first. But then if you do split squat heavy first, you're trashed for your squats and your deadlift. But I like to do them. So what I do them on a full body. This way it will not impact me, and I'm happy to do my split squat, and that's it. You know, it doesn't go much further than that. And same thing for clock off press. I like to press behind the neck, but I have access to great machines. So I go very hard and pound away on these machines, but I still like to have the mobility and the the rotator cuff health and capacity to do BTN press like that. But heavy BTN press will make me much more tired to do this heavy pressing on the machine, the Smith, etc. So I do clock off press. It's the same thing, but you got to stay light to control the reps, huge range of motion, you know, so it's just a finisher for my delt at this point. So that's my split.
Careful with the clock off, it's not optimal, you know?
Yeah, suboptimal. Yeah. Look at this suboptimal shoulder, man.
But when you set up the upper lower, do you have like a heavy upper, and then later on in the week you have like a volume upper, or do you just go heavy every session? Like, do you use a multitude of rep ranges in your upper?
No.
Upper.
Oh yeah. What I do is simple. I really like high incline pressing for my shoulder, like seated press with a 60-degree incline bench, and I really want to get very strong on it. I plan to do 3 plates on it. And because I'm really strong on it, I want to go heavy on it. But if I go heavy on that, I can't really do much volume otherwise. So what I do is that I have a upper where I'm going to go really hard on this incline press, high incline press, sorry. I'll do some heavy dips because I like heavy dips and it helped me with that. I'll do my arm work, my pec deck, my lats, my forearms. And the other day, which will be strictly machine, I treat it as an assistance day. So it will be strictly machine for my hypertrophy work. And it will be also for a second day of training the same muscle, but I make sure that there is not any overlap or not too much between the 2 sessions. So it will be hammer incline press. It will be seated hammer press, mostly machine, as I said. And that way I can keep being used to heavy weights. I can keep getting stronger. And even if it's machine, and there is not that much carryover to free weights, when I do my high incline press, I'm currently at 2 plates and a biscuit, so like a 105 kilogram. It never feels heavy because I'm so used with machine to have like 4 plates per side that it's just better that way for me. I do not respond well to very high rep and to very high volume, at least not in the capacity of having machines that I can really go hard on it, you know. If it would have been dumbbell work, I would have done 5x10 because you can't really go near failure with dumbbell pressing. I think it's really dangerous, you know. But yeah, basically I do my heavy work, and on the isolation I do higher reps, and I just construct my workout around the lift I want to improve the most, whatever the lift is. That's basically my philosophy, and that's exactly what I do with my online coaching too.
Okay. I think what's important is you're having fun with it, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
Like, one thing I've been learning about like the whole marketing and the branding and just stuff like that regarding like how you deliver your content is that somebody else could be prescribing the same lifts as you, but some people just like you as a person and they like what you stand for, and they're like, you know, there might be some guy watching right now, you know, who just has like a beard, who just like you know, just likes traps, and you know, he just gets off on, like, you know, when you talk in videos, he's like, you know what, like, I'm gonna follow his plan. But there could be somebody prescribing the exact same stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of it comes down like the individuality and the branding, and like it's just very funny, you know. And then you put your little spin on it, you put like, give it a little name. And like, yeah, I don't want to do bodybuilding, I want to do Hersovyac training, you know.
Yeah.
It's like a thing now, you know. But okay, so let's talk about bulking and cutting. This is one of the big ones I wanted to talk to you about. Like, and this is why there's no one size fits all with these questions and answers, because so check this out. You got a lot of people saying like, look, you got to get on the big bulks, you know. And I was one of those guys too. I personally believe that, like, it's inevitable. You're gonna have to, if you want to put on as much contractile tissue as possible, a lot of fat's gonna come with it. But I was more on like the extreme side, you know. I see other people where they're on the other end of the spectrum, where they're literally just main gaining, or like the small, ever so smallest surplus. And you got some people more in between where they're like, okay, we're not gonna beat around the bush. We're still gonna get into a surplus. But you got guys, for example, I'll give you different camps, right? Like, some guys are in the 12 to 15. They'll be 12-ish, maybe 10 to 12 on a leanness, and they'll be like, they won't pass 15% on a bulk. The other guys, maybe they'll be like 12% when they're lean, and then they won't go over 20%. And you got some other guys who I do know who are like, man, we're just trying to get as big and strong as possible. We're gonna cut later, and we'll get to 25%, maybe even 30%. So, but what I've noticed from examining your physique throughout the last couple of years is that you never got like, as far as I'm concerned, maybe there was some periods where you got like heavier and we didn't see it. But as far as what I saw, you never went like that heavy. Like I never saw Hersovyac at like 200 pounds.
No.
And you're like what, 5'8"?
5'9".
There you go. So you're not a short guy. So 5'9", not going over 200. But at the same time, you see all the mass that you have. So that offers a different perspective. But I know some people in the comments, they might be like, okay, well, if Hersovyac was to go to 225, we'd have even more mass, which might actually be possible too,
That's true.
It's very probable. But what I've been noticing more and more is that like the come down is pretty big too,
Yes.
If someone's bulking up to 25% body fat, which there's some very credible people doing that, in my opinion, like maybe in the early days, you could do it. That's what I personally did. I literally went up to I was maybe mid-20s. And I acquired some of my size to that. I don't think I would have what I have if I didn't do that. But yeah, basically my question, man, like what's your reasoning behind it? Is it like to just look leaner for socials, or like I doubt it's that, but like, or you just don't want to not have to put on that much fat? Or the highest percentage of body fat you'll go on a bulk?
All right, thank you, Phil. That's a great question, actually. Okay, so in the order, I never went above, by my estimation, 13-14% body fat, and it might actually be lower because I eat a lot of bread, so it might have been, and I salt a lot of my plate, so it might have been some water retention, but I do not believe I've been higher than that. And I just feel more comfortable staying about at around 10% body fat, which is, I think, what I'm currently on right now. Maybe I'm a bit lower, maybe I'm a bit higher. I think it's 10%. I just feel it better to go like that with basically bulking in winter and cutting slightly in summer, because it comes along very easily for me. In winter, whatever I do, whatever I want, I will gain 2 kilos. Each time, each year, it's like that, okay? So might as well take the advantage about the fact that in winter, I sleep better, I eat more easily, and I can push harder in my training better, because it's, I live in France currently, and in France, in summer, it's way too hot for me to actually push really hard. There is a certain way how in winter I can just train extra hard, and if I'm hot, well, I just have several layers when I'm in the gym, and I just remove one, And in summer, I will always lose these 2 kilograms. So might as well do a little cut, That's how I operate. Now, there is the fact also that I have a terrible appetite, and bulking for me does not come easy. I really have to force feed myself. For example, I woke up this morning, I had my breakfast, I was not hungry. Still, I got my breakfast. But if it was just me, I would have not eat anything. And it's often like that, I never was a big eater. I could eat a lot of junk food. I could eat a lot of chocolate, stuff like that, when I was a teenager, but I was not a big eater. If I was to just eat twice a day, I would have been fine. And that's why intermittent fasting for me was also so easy. But for bulking, since it's so hard for me, it's not just that I do not want to go fat, because actually the fatter you are, the more easily you retain your lean tissue. I think you have seen the studies about sumo wrestlers that crush the FFMI scale like they're juiced, and it's because they are over 30% body fat and they have so much lean mass. But the thing is that they are in a state with their body where the adipose tissue is protective of many things, and also metabolic stress, which is kind of weird because you have too fat is bad for you, but at the same time there is that fat that will help you. And when they lean out, when they are finished with their career as sumo, most of the time they lean out, most of them, and they lose that lean tissue, not just because they stop training, but also because they lose so much mass that even the lean tissue has to go away. And I do believe that if indeed I would to pig out on food, I would easily crush the 200 pounds barrier. I am currently at 84, 85 kilograms, so I think it's like 190 pounds, something like that. It's just 10 pounds away, But I do not like it. I do not like to force feed myself. So imagine for me to even add some fat on that. I think it will just come with time. And if I am ever to attain the 200 pounds mark, I will do it, but maybe in a few years, not like I will pig out and do it, you know. And as for the difference between main gaining, so the progress is very, very, very slow, and like the ultra bulking, I think it's just personal. What do you prefer? What do you want? Both are not okay, and the most smart approach in regard to health, and they are not mental and physical, and they are also suboptimal in a sense. So I think that lean bulking cycles, then you slight deficit, and you have this kind of curve that is still ascending instead of a very slow like that, or thing that is doing that, but then you crush down when you lose all the body fat is much preferable. But I do not care about social media. I mean, it's always better on social media to be very lean. It's more impactful on the photo because you do not see the person as they are. Because I have seen a lot of influencers in my gym. They're skinny, but they know how to take a picture. They have a perfect life, the pump,
Yeah.
you know, etc., etc. But I do not care about social media, about this side. You know, I just know that regardless, whatever I'm doing, there will be an audience that will watch what I'm doing, whatever, if it's like ultra strong stuff, you know, it's like strongman based stuff, or if it's just like bodybuilding aesthetic. And I just happen to prefer a bit on the bodybuilding and aesthetic side. So yeah.
Okay, so from what I'm understanding, you like to be in between 10 and when you're at your fluffiest, like 14 in winter.
Yeah. I feel the better like that. I'm not tired. I'm not feeling like heavy. You know, it's not impacting my health in any way that I can spot it. You know, like I do not have like I do not have libido problem. I do not have sleep problem. I do not have any kind of things like that because of the fact I'm too lean or too fat. So I just stay in that margin where I'm good, you know.
Got you. Because I've been talking to so many different like credible sources about like this whole bulking and cutting thing, and obviously going through it myself. And you go around the block a couple times, and the point that I'm currently at right now in 2023 is that if you're tired and you don't have a large amount of output and energy, you're not in the best environment to put on muscle, you know. So
yeah,
there's diminishing returns if you're too heavy, and let's say you just feel sluggish, because maybe some people will feel sluggish with those higher body fats. So basically where my train of thought is like, what's the body fat what's your sweet spot where it's like you just have the most energy, you know, high libido, high output in the gym, better recovery, and you're not like and you feel good about yourself, you know?
10, 12. I can go much leaner than that, especially when I did some competition, bodybuilding competition or photo shoots. I know I can go down to 8% and be fine. I know it. I've done it many, many times, and I can sustain it for months, but not years.
Right.
You know? And as for the being as fat as I possibly can, I'm pretty sure, as I told you, I got up to 13, 14, maybe even 15. I never measured or did a DEXA scan. But each time, like my peak weight was 86 kilograms. That's my peak weight. And it was very, like it was end of winter. It was like March. And I was, I had a lot of body hair. I had a lot of water retention. Like I was I was bloated, bro. And I was able to maintain that for 3 weeks, and that's it. Then just 3 weeks after, I was back down to 85.5, 85, 84.5, and so on and so forth. And I just lost the weight naturally because I could not sustain this kind of food intake with my appetite level.
Wow. That's what makes it so fascinating to me. It's that there is no one size fits all answer, because you're clearly a case of a guy who clearly has a good amount of size on you and leanness, and I have met people like that too. Shout out my buddy Dom, if you're watching this. Like I know guys who have never been on radical bulks, but they have, or like when they do, it's like very, very small, but they still have a good amount of tissue to show for it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like but then the argument is, if those people were to get on bigger bulks, who knows? We could talk about
maybe.
it, you know, but
yeah, you can redo the entire world with if and when stuff. But I think there is also the fact that I have a pretty fast metabolism, and to get to that shape and to maintain it, I'm already at 4,000 kilocalories, and I'm and I'm just walking this day 5,000 steps. That's not too much. And I train 3 times a week or 4 times. I do once some cardio or 2, but very short, and I'm basically sitting all day because I'm working at desk, So I'm not moving much. And I still need 4,000 kilocalories just to maintain myself. And the moment I bump it up to 4,500, then I can slightly lean bulk, But just eating that much food, sometimes, man, it's like, can I just drink the oil in the bottle directly, like that and be done with it?
I hear you. All we know is that it works for you. So
yeah.
Fair enough, man. So let's dive into more of the training stuff. Like we already talked about your split. In the Q&A you did on your IG, that where you're speaking in French with the guy, and you're talking about like emotional attachment to exercises.
Oh yeah.
Definitely been I think a lot of people are guilty of that. But there's different sides to that coin, right? So I think there's a difference between, check this out. Some people will say you don't want to have an emotional attachment to a lift. Let's just say hypothetically you got some guy watching right now, his knees hurt when they squat. And then he watches a video on YouTube of a guy says you don't want to have an emotional attachment to a lift. So then the guy says, okay, forget the squat. I'm not a big fan of that because you don't know why the squat is bothering your knees. Maybe you're not doing it properly. Maybe you're not doing the right prep drills or whatever. There could be a million reasons. Maybe you're not training your hamstrings before. Shout out John Meadows. Like there's so many different reasons. And to just abandon the lift because it's an easy cop out. I don't want to have an emotional attachment, So I think if you've actually been, coached by credible coaches and you've been trying out that lift, you've just been hammering it and it just doesn't feel good, maybe it's time to try something new,
Yeah.
Myself, the lying hamstring curl never felt as good as seated. And for years, I pinned myself to the machine. I tried every different angle I could. It doesn't feel good. I'm not aligned properly. And even till this day, I still force myself to do it. But it doesn't feel good. And that could have to do with that ACL surgery in 2017. But anyways, you got some people who basically, it's just this emotional attachment thing, So anyways, back to the original point. You were talking about the deadlift, which the deadlift is a great exercise, but you were talking about the way you built your back with snatch grip, pin pulls, block pulls, and Romanians. And you said it was also easier on your lower back. So you mind elaborating on that?
Yeah, no problem. Basically, I was a fan of deadlifting from the moment I picked up a barbell. It was fun, okay? And thanks to my leverage and my bone structure, I went very fast in terms of progress because I'm pretty lanky. I have long arms. Like I'm 5'9", as we said, but I have a 6-foot wingspan. So when I do deadlift, it's easy, It's not the moment I'm weak off the floor. So the moment I get the barbell off the floor, I know it's done. I got it, I never failed the lift because of my grip or like around the knee, like some guys can have troublesome with. Oh, sorry, that's the phone. Hold on. Just some spam, bro. No problem. Okay.
Let's keep it going. You still have
the guy that tried to sell you some vacuum 3000 cleaner, So yeah, sorry about that, bro. So yeah, I was doing conventional deadlift and it was very easy for me. So my first year of training is like that. I started with 45 kilogram and I went on to do slightly over 3 plate, and I've never had any stalling problem or whatever. So it's just like constant, slow but surely progress with no problem at all. And then I reach the point where I'm doing 3 plate and a half, and I'm trying to peak at 4 plates, and I can't do it. I do not know why. I cannot do it. I just can't move it from the floor. It's too heavy. And I do every single strength progression I can find on internet, 531, cube method, west side, whatever. West side helped me a lot. Cube method was fine to improve my RM with 3 plate and a half and so forth. But the 4 plate would just scare me so much. I think it was just psychological at some point. And I would have my whole day being prepared for me to actually do that 4 plate. So it was my whole day, I was just thinking about it. And at some point I was just too burnt out from it, I believe, because I nearly passed out trying to lift it once, and I had a constant irritation with my right SI joint. So I said, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck it, man. Fuck this shit, you know? And I never did any deadlift from the floor for 2 years. All I did was snatch grip, Romanian deadlift, block pull, a lot of front squats, a lot of back squats, because back squat was a problem for me. So I did much more front squats than back squat, but I was fine to do them. And then one day I was like, you know what, I'm going to try again. And I did an easy 5x5 with 3 plates. And I said, you know what, let's try 4 plates. And it was like a warm-up set. It just moved up like that, no problem. No. So I just stopped there like, what the hell is that? And then I realized that with my previous training, I cycled actually a lot of deadlift variation. And by sheer instinct, by stopping to listen to the programs and to the guys that were on internet saying you need this assistance exercise and you need these 5 most best exercise to build your deadlift, and just doing what I feel was right, I just by instinct let my lower back fatigue management be better, because each time it was my lower back who was the problem. It was the area that would get tired the most easily. So by doing deadlift regularly, very heavy, I would just burn myself out lower back side, you know. And by actually just being honest with myself and be like, you know what, yes, conventional deadlift is fun, but I actually do not want to be a conventional deadlift champion. I just want a great looking back. I'm going to do variations that are much better for my back development and that are also by byproduct going to help me with my conventional deadlift. And that's when snatch grip deadlift with block pull, pin pull, RDL, high pull, other grips, odd lifting came into place, and it would give me a great deal of back development. And each time I would try to deadlift for the floor, I would be even stronger each time. So, you know, that's how I put it. It's like I remove myself emotionally from this lift and just accepted to be honest about the fact that this lift, I can go very overboard with it, and I'm just going to do other things much safer for me than this one. That's how it came to be, literally.
Right. Yeah, like obviously if somebody just like loves they get off on like conventional deadlifts, they're still gonna build a big back, you know?
Yeah.
There is a huge posterior chain component, lower posterior chain to those lifts, you know?
Totally.
And that is like a prime example. When guys been talking about rack pulls below the knee for a while, Chris Jones, man, physique of greatness.
Yeah.
Thick back, and he's sworn by those lifts, man.
Yeah.
You can name other people, but it clearly works. And if you're getting off on that type of training, and if you feel like it's not like impacting your recovery too much, and if you're doing like some type of like pure hinge, like an RDL, I think Alex had made a video back then. If you do like some kind of block pull, like below the knee, and you combine that with like an RDL, you're gonna get all the benefits. You're gonna get a super thick back, and deadlift will probably be okay too, you know.
Yeah, that's what I did for 1 year. I was doing block pull, and I would cycle between block height. I would do just below the knee. I would do mid chin, and I would do basically 4 inches of the floor, and I would just cycle like that with a normal grip. And then I would do tension. I would do snatch grip, but I would pose the barbell each time, and it would be just below the knee. And another day I would do barbell RDL. And then at some point I started to have plateaus again, because I was doing my RDL with 4 plates, 4 reps, and I was doing my block pull for 5.5 to 6 plate. And now what I'm doing is rack pull just below the knee, but with a position that is much, how can I say it? It's mechanically harder to pull with it, because like the back is a bit relaxed and there is absolutely no slack with the barbell. That's why a rack pull is so harder than block pull. There is no slack with a rack. And just yesterday I did a easy triple with 5 plate. And then the other day when I'm doing RDL, I think the barbell was just too tiring for my low back again. So instead of trying to hammer it, I just removed it, and I'm doing dumbbell, and I have 60 kilos dumbbell. So I just take the 60 kilos, I think it's 130 pounds, and I do as much range of motion as possible. It's literally look like a stiff-legged deadlift from a deficit, and I just do 2-3 sets of 10 to 15 reps like that. and my back immediately improved just by switching these things up, So,
The triple, my bad, the triple with the 5 plate you said. Repeat that. That was a snatch grip off a block below the knee?
No, I did that already many years back. No, it was rack pull,
Off
below
a,
the knee, normal grip, but I had like I have a very relaxed back, So it's like your whole upper back is immediately stretched, and I do it in a rack to have no slack, So I have no help from the barbell. I have no way to have any kind of momentum or energy accumulated. So it's like I like that, and I pull immediately, and I just started to do that, and I'm already at 3 plate for 5 plate. No, 3 reps for 5 plate, sorry. And I do my back off at 4 plate and a half. So, I'm just going to get up naturally like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've noticed that too. I started incorporating some of this stuff back in, and like the rack is way harder than off blocks because you don't get this, there's no slack.
Exactly. Yeah. It's you against the barbell immediately. While on the block, you can have a little slack that can slightly help you.
Little something, Yeah, for sure. But what's your preference though?
Block. Yeah, blocks. I think it's just more comfortable, and because I'm more comfortable, I feel more safe, and because I feel more safe, I will push harder. I'm pretty sure it's just in my own head, because both of them are really good variation to do. I think it's just me and my personal preferences.
Yeah, I think I like block better too, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? But so real quick, I just want to transition from this back training, take this opportunity to talk about the Silverback book. And basically before I was writing this, so basically like Alex, you dropped Naturally Enhanced, and I had my own philosophies. But before I even had these philosophies, I was following a lot of Christian Thibodeau. Always.
Oh yeah.
Canadian, coach.
Yeah.
Who was highly influenced by Poliquin, but then Thibodeau had his own philosophies, and he had like a bit of like an Ollie lifting background.
Yeah.
His old articles back in the day about the power look. He said the snatch grip high pull, and I was doing a lot more high. I don't do that lift anymore, but I still think it has a lot of merit. But I remember those first time I did it, man. I'm just like I was going insane, man. Like you're like, and everybody, most people who do it properly, who ran the Silverback program and who follow like Thibodeau's advice too, like they all report back with like huge traps, and like
not only do they report huge traps, it's that in just 2 or 3 weeks of doing them once a week, you already see a difference. It's like you doing it twice, and it's like they're just popping out of nowhere. It's amazing. That lift is just a cheat code.
It's crazy, but okay, so you might find this interesting, but one of the things I'm not crazy about with the high pull, for myself personally, for using it for bodybuilding purposes, is I feel like, man, it's pretty hard to standardize the repetitions. I find that with like if you do a snatch grip block pull from mid shin, it's like you got it or you didn't. And if you cheated, maybe you rounded a little bit, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like power shrug as well. You hinge a very slight bit, you get it here or you don't. But it's like with the high pull, it's like slams when I was like over the 3 plate mark, I think the most I ever did from blocks or something was like, I have a photo of it, maybe like pretty sure it was 3.5 plates. Cause I remember I saw Tib doing 4 plates. I'm just like, I want to try to get that, And I remember I was ducking under it so much. And eventually it's just like, it got really hard to standardize,
Yeah, it was much more like a panda pull than really like a real high pull. I had the same problem too. I tried to go to 4 plates, and I did snatch grip high pull with 4 plates, but it wasn't really a high pull because the highest I could pull out was about my upper abs region.
It was a low pull.
And while a real high pull is supposed to be like at the nipple line, or I don't remember the barbell around here,
Yeah.
So it doesn't count, That's why I also experimented with something Dimitri Kokov called therapy. Have you seen them?
I've seen trap. It's like the constant. I think it's like a stiff leg high pull. No, it's like a constant high pull. No.
Yeah, he's basically doing snatch grip high pull from hang, continuous tension. He keeps the leg stiff, and he also gets his arm collar to collar, and he's like that, And my best was like 90 kilogram, So under 2 plates, but it would smoke my traps so hard, and also the rear delt, but out of nowhere, you know. So I think this lift is it could be better to gauge your progress with this lift, because it's like, you either literally stun yourself with a barbell in the shin or you don't, you know. But I feel you on this like measurement scale of, did I do the rep good or not? And that's the problem with hypertrophy work, because you need to absolutely be constant and have checkpoints for you to say, okay, this was a good set, this wasn't a good set. What happened there? Oh, this happened. Okay, I need to do that now. And with high pull, yeah, it's kind of tricky sometimes.
Yeah, but that trapping video you're talking about, he was touching clavicle. It was high.
Yeah.
So that's why and I like that, because you can't go as heavy. So like,
yeah.
But you still get that, like, you still get that tug in the traps, and like it's still.
But then there is also the argument about the rib cage size and the arm size, because Dmitry Klokov is pretty stocky, you know, like a short legs, short arms, long torso, and he has a pretty thick rib cage, and I'm totally the reverse. And I have never ever been able in my entire life to touch my clavicle with my high pull. No, because I just can't. You know, I'm stuck there. You see, there is just too much. Again, same with bench press. Actually, if I do flat bench press, I really need a heavy weight to be able to touch my chest, because if I just do it like that, I'm stuck. I cannot touch it. So that's also the problem, is that for some people, some cues will be good. You know, like pendlay row, you touch your stomach. Okay, good rep. For some others, you know, it's not the same.
Yeah, to everybody watching up to this point, if you guys have, if your trap growth has been stagnant for a while, and if you could watch some quality tutorials on how to do a snatch grip high pull from a hang, you've been doing like, you know, basic shrugs, you know, feel like you're not getting as much as you want out of them, or you just want a way to like shock your traps, try it out and report back in the comment section. Anyways, so when I was writing the Silverback book, I had that little background and that little sneak peek with the snatch grip high pulls, and then I started, you know, diving more into, I'm pretty sure it might have been Poliquin actually who talked about the snatch grip deficit deadlift. And
yep, that's true. Yeah,
he's saying it's like the best mass builder. But I remember before that, I tried like the snatch grip RDL, and I tried the snatch grip deficit, and I remember I tried a snatch grip back extensions, like the horizontal bend back extension. And I'm like, man, like every time I'm doing these snatch grip lifts, back just keeps getting thicker and thicker and thicker.
Yep.
And then I started like studying more of these Olympic weightlifters, and obviously, you know, where we know they're taking stuff, but they still have a very thick look to them, you know. Which sometimes it's hard to tell, because sometimes these guys will get off what they're taking and their look isn't as thick anymore, you know. And sometimes you might even see some of these calisthenics guys who they're taking stuff too, and they have like a very similar look too. So it's hard to tell sometimes, like, okay, how much of it is coming from the training or the drugs. But I still firmly believe that the snatch grip lifts have a huge impact on their upper back development, you know. And that's basically like what really inspired a lot of like the SB philosophy, Silverback. And then I remember even for a certain amount of time, you were following some of those principles too. Had you in like the old, you were tagging me in some of the old stuff in like 2018, maybe 2019. But I want to know, like, what were your experiences with the snatch grip stuff in particular?
It was just better overall. It's much harder, so you have to go with lighter weights. It also feels much harder, like if you were to measure with RPE, and in his snatch grip lift, it will be RPE 14. So, you know, it's like he's going to hurt and he's going to suck, but you got to do it. And the soreness, both the soreness and the pump are much better with snatch grip lifts than with conventional lift. And I do believe it's just because with snatch grip, you immediately put the trap's fibers in a more stretched position. And there is much more of a lateral pull and lateral mechanical tension rather than just vertical one. And I think that's why, especially when you're doing like RDL or like block pull with a snatch grip, it's not just you're like that, it's that you're bent over like that. So it pulls your back rounded like that, but at the same time, it's like your limbs want to be dislocated and you have to keep it all tied together. So it's not just about the traps assisting with the shoulder blade stabilization. It's also the shoulder blade. It's also the traps helping having the whole shoulder complex joints not getting ripped apart. plus resisting the depression and the protraction of it. So it's like a four-in-one in regard to traps. And for erectors, since the range of motion is immediately better and immediately longer at the same height compared to a conventional deadlift or conventional grip, I should say, you have more time under tension. You have more stretch, and all of that contribute to much more mechanical tension and metabolic stress, so much more growth. So each time I'm doing something with snatch grip, I know that the next day it's going to hurt. But at the same time, it's key to let yourself recover from ultra heavy lifting with more close grip. And at the same time, it's also better for you to actually feel comfortable in a very weird and dangerous position. So I really like it. And my experience with it has just been that it's a shotgun. It's a shotgun to your back and everything grows, you know?
I agree, man. And it's nice to finally talk to somebody who has the same like opinion, you know? Because I know there's a lot of like, you know, hypertrophy style coaches or people like who are really big on bodybuilding and they're not fans of it, you know?
Yeah, they dismiss it. I'm really sad to like there are two figures that one is pretty OJ. He's been here for decades, and the other guy he's Canadian also. He's like 2 million subscribers on YouTube, and none of these guys are actually talking about the benefits of many of these kind of unconventional lift or practice where it's like the science did not catch up yet to really why it's working. Like we do not have a real hard answer, like it's this, and we are 100% sure. But the results speak for themselves, and it's not just roids and luck and whatever magical water in a well. It's just that they work, you know. It's like when I began lifting, I just found out that front squat was better than back squat for most people for quads, you know. But it had been since the 60s and the 70s that the athletes already knew it, you know. So it's kind of a shame.
Yeah, it's but also like these snatch grip lifts, like you don't have to go as heavy. And it's like you're taking that extra load that would have kind of went to like the posterior chain, if you will. You're just putting it on the back. You're getting range of motion. If the range of motion is too big for you, just elevate it a bit. Because the snatch grip pull from like the mid shin is very similar to like a pull from the floor with like a regular grip.
Totally, yeah. The snatch grip from mid shin is basically conventional lift of the floor. Yeah. And like a block pull like on 4 inches block, you know, for snatch grip it would be just below the knee. There is that much difference between the two. And for RDL, for example, when I'm doing RDL, I stop on the RDL just before the plates can touch the floor. I can go that down, that deep.
Yeah.
The snatch grip, it doesn't cross mid chin, but I'm in the exact same position, torso angle, hip flexion and everything. So it's that effective, you know?
Yeah. You look, the proof's in the pudding. You look at the Olympic weightlifters and it's just, and the same thing with we said about the rows too. Like when you have like that if you do like I don't do cable rows really, but like if you do like a chest supported hammer strength row and you have the elbows nice and wide out, it's kind of like snatch grip training too, you know? But it's just nice to know like there's people like who are following that same style of training, and like coincidentally, Hersovyac has a huge back.
Yeah, coincidentally.
And he's not a power lifter. He like so it's like I don't know what your 1 rep max deadlift is. I don't know if you ever tried it, but like people when they look at your back, they don't even care. Because like, okay, when he throws the back little by, it looks crazy, you know? So anyways, I want to like transitioning more from like the deadlift stuff. Let's talk about rows, right? Because just to speak about myself quick, I've done rows in so many different ways, man. So like the pause at the top, the ducking under, like literally like the cheatiest of the cheat rows. And I've done also like the point that I'm personally at right now, on like a dumbbell row or like just most rows in general, is I'll pause at the bottom to get the stretch, but I'll use a bit of body lift to get it up, but I won't pause at the top. And I feel like this helps me really standardize my reps. It gives me the best of both worlds where it's still strict, but I still get just enough to, you know, use a bit extra. And I feel like there's no comparison, man. Like I feel like when I would just pause on all my rows, it's just not the same, man. And I want to know what your experience was with that too.
My experience with rows is that the one I prefer the most are T-bar rows. cheated or strict, and chest supported rows, either with the T-bar machine. I've been able to do it once or twice, or like the hammer machines that I currently have. So I'm just basically standing. I have my right grip and I'm doing this, with pretty wide elbow angle, like 45, something like that. For traps, for upper back traps, stuff like that. For lats, it's a bit different.
Let me cut you off real quick right there, because I know people in the comment section might think, well, what I just said. I start every program with pauses, even at the top.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting the movement. But once I milk the pause, I'm going to, if I'm not at pause for like 2 weeks, I'm switching and touch and go.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. I do exactly like you. I always start my back training with a pause at the top, because I want to be sure to arrive in the correct position and to fire the muscles that are supposed to work. And every time I have a trainee that is telling me, oh, I have trouble with my back, okay, welcome in the wonderful world of pauses. And you do a pause at the top and a pause at the bottom, because with that, there is no momentum. He's forced to reset, and he cannot like use his arm or anything. And pauses plus lifting straps to really be sure it's only the elbow and the shoulder blade moving. You're sure that the movement will be fine, whatever the angle. And then when you're good like that, you will have a plateau because the form is too strict. So you remove one pose, and then maybe you even remove all pose together, and you're just making sure that everything is working. So this is a great technique to actually make your back training as efficient as possible. And I do exactly the same. Basically do like that. Do like you. It's like I love T-bar row, chest supported and free. I love hammer strength rows, and I also like just lying on the bench, like with an easy bar, and just doing my rows like for real chest supported on an incline bench. Just that for now I have not the ability to do it, because there is some stuff under the bench that would keep me from rowing. So that's why I do just machine and that's that. Tempo-wise, I'm basically doing the same as you. I tried for a very, very, very long time to keep the pose at the top, but it's just undermining at some point. And now that I'm much more free in terms of getting a bit of momentum and not posing at the top, but just making sure I arrive in the same position, really to squeeze like that, and just keep growing bigger and bigger and stronger. So yeah, I think proof is in the pudding, as we say.
Yeah, if you look at also like people who say it's dangerous, if you look at Olympic weightlifters, if you look at Lou, he does, he's pretty loose. He's very loose in his rows.
Yeah. He just learned himself, and that's actually very specializing for Olympic weightlifter, because his goal with that is not just to cheat, to say he's lifting X amount of kilo. He's doing it because on his clean and jerk and his snatches, his core work and his lat are going to be used as string to get the barbell up. And he's doing exactly the same thing with pull down. And he's not just doing bad form. He's actually using his lats plus his abs at the same time to have this kind of string motion. That way, when he's doing his stuff to lift it up, he will do exactly the same thing, but in the other way around. So it's actually, it would be just like saying someone who is doing leg curl to get stronger on squat is an idiot. And no, he's not an idiot. He's actually making sure the body does the exact reverse and is strong also with this kind of movement. So, I think there is nothing wrong with cheating on rows, especially since that the strength curve on rows by nature is trash, because it's easy when you're here, and the moment you go in mid-range and you have much more shortening in the muscle, this last centimeter right there, it's a pain to get them. So might as well do a little bit of this, and sneak in more reps, more stretch, more weight. And if you really want to get this, you have much more. You have like reverse pec deck, for example. You can do bend face pull. You can do many other things to really get the squeeze in, if you really want to have it, because the real squeeze, you cannot have it with much muscle, actually, because for chest, that would mean doing your flies right there. And for your shoulder, you need to do this. And for your biceps, you need to do that, So no one is really flexing hard his fibers when he's doing a isolation. So stop trying to do it on your traps, right?
Right. I hear you. You go around the block a couple times, you start to just connect certain dots,
Yeah.
I find it very interesting, like the proof's in the pudding, But at the same time, with that being said, I know some people are gonna watch this video and now, like when next time they hit back, they're just gonna start throwing it. There are there are diminishing returns, you know, like first of all, you got to get the full range. I'm never gonna exchange. The range of motion is always gonna come first before anything else. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
exchange weight so I can move it like 3 inches less, you know. I always want to get the range. Um, and then yeah, it still has to look decent, but like you don't want to get too greedy with it, you know. It's not a deadlift duck under, you know.
yeah,
So it's like
totally.
then it could potentially like impact like next thing you know like your lower back's just like smashed because you did like a one arm row.
Yeah,
You know
or
what I mean?
or you're just not using that much the muscle you originally wanted to work. So then it's not bodybuilding anymore. It's just lifting weights.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with getting a bit funky on the rows, you know. But speaking of that, like with the shrugs, I personally had the same experience, and obviously you've had the same experience too. But you mind elaborating on that? How?
Well, I tried power shrugs, you know, but I do not like it. It just doesn't feel right for me. I just prefer normal shrugs. But on my normal shrugs, it looks like I'm having a seizure because I'm basically just doing this, you know, and I just do 3 to 5, 6 reps and then I'm done. So it's literally look like the Ego fail, you know, the compilation of fail guys, you know, in the gym
Yeah.
that are doing fuck all, you know, in the gym. I literally look like these guys sometimes when I'm doing my shrugs because it's literally I get it up and I just do, you know, and that's that. It lasted 5 seconds, you know, but it's 5 seconds of extreme stretch and it's 5 seconds of having my traps in a very bad position and they are forced to just work. And that's why I believe it's so good. It's because the traps are a very resilient and strong muscle group. So you actually need to beat them hard to get them to work. And that's how with the shrug and the high pull, I get the best of both worlds. With shrugs, I go 8 plate, even higher. I did 400 kilograms, so like 880 pounds, I think. Um, it is really heavy weight, a lot of compression, a lot of stretch, but not much acceleration. It's literally pure strength work. But with the high pull, it's power work because you have to be fast and strong. So you get it up fast, you go there, and then when it come down, you have the acceleration down that just pull hard, you know, when it goes down and it stop. And that's the best of both worlds, you know. And power shrug, I think, is kind of an in between. And I never really uh, managed to make it work for me. It never felt as good as doing just high pull or shrugs, but I know it works well for many people. I have many friends that just love power shrugs and they just feel it better. You know, Atlas power shrug also, he just prefer power shrugs. The guy when he's doing shrug, he looks like he's trying to be goofy. He's like he's trying to make fun of other people having bad form, but no, he's actually working his traps, and they look Photoshop, so he's obviously doing something right.
Mm. There's different schools of thoughts, and the reality is they all work.
Yeah,
Like I won't necessarily dismiss a method. The way I've personally been doing it now, for those curious, is like as I'm warming up, I'll go as high as I can with the pauses, snatch grip. When I can't do I do sets of 15 to 20. Once I get my 20, then I up the weight, go back to 15. But I never up the weight until I hit my 20 reps. That's where I do it differently from you. You go way lower on the reps, but
yeah,
I'm just anyways. But and then basically once I can't do the pause anymore, I'll just do touch and go. Once I can't do the touch and go anymore, I'll just use a bit of power.
yeah.
So I get all the best of all worlds across my warm-ups and my working sets,
Yeah.
and that's that, you know. But
And anyway, you achieve failure and you did a shit ton of work to accumulate the fatigue, and it's all done. It's productive reps, regardless. Yeah.
yeah, but I definitely think I think what's his name, Massive Iron, Steve
Yeah,
Shaw.
Steve Shaw. Yeah.
He's a big advocate of like power shrugs, you know. And then you got other guys who are in the opposite camp, and like if you guys get anything from this talk, is that like different thing. There's not just one way to do it, you know. There's different ways to skin a cat, you know. And sometimes it's actually beneficial to use different ways, you know. Different types of rep ranges, pause, touch and go. Even I've seen there's even this channel, Viper, very underrated channel, and he actually recommends snatch grip 5 second pauses. So it's like different schools of thought, you know.
Yeah.
Like it is what it is, you know. But transitioning from that, let's talk about the infamous neck training, man.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so like it's funny because a lot of guys, man, have they hopped on the neck training wagon. You know, they see like Josh Bryant's promoting it. Like it's becoming a lot more mainstream now. But I would say you're probably one of the guys who just never stopped. A lot of people, they've done it for a couple months, stop. Even myself stopped for a while and came back dealing with certain things, and like now I'm back on it. But like it seems to me like you never stop.
I never stopped. I changed my routine, it evolved, but I never stopped. I'm still training leg. I trained it yesterday with my legs.
Yeah, and I noticed that you superset it with the. So what's the frequency like? What's your programming like overall? Rep ranges, this and that. For your neck looking like.
Okay, frequency wise, it's each time I go to train legs, and when I do my full body. So I'd say it's 3 times every 10 to 12 days. I will do three exercises, and I will rotate them every time. For example, on one lower day, I will do neck curl with plates. I will do neck side with plates, so like that, and I will do neck extension with plates. And then the other way around, when I come back to do my other lower, I will do neck rotation. So I will put a band in my mouth. I will use the neck flex harness, and I will do this, And then I will do neck curl with a band, and I will do neck extension with a band. And if I feel like it, or if I'm talking to some friends when I'm stretching at the end of my workout, I will just add in some other neck training stuff. Like, for example, I am trying to find a way to make neck extension, but bent over with the band really works, because I do not know how and why, but I feel it in my traps and also inner traps. So like the erector spinae of the thoracic region, under the traps, and I'm just doing that. And on the full body, same thing. I will do band, or I'll do plate, I will do a mix, And my goal is basically to do 3 sets of, for the sides, 20 to 30 reps per side. And for the curls, neck curl, and extension, anything between 12 to 20. That way I cycle with weights. I can do 2 plate and do really high reps. And I can do 50 kilo. So like a 2 plate and a half. I basically have 25 kilo plates. So I can get to 2, and it's heavier than 20 kilo plates. And I can go heavier and heavier, and I can also do 3 plates on my neck extension, and I just cycle like that, So it's kind of a light and heavy day, or low stress, high stress cycle rotation, because just 3 weight plates, it gave me some little weird cramp in the middle of the back. So my physiotherapist would tell me that I'm basically blocking some rib head, because I pull too strong on it, so it would crack my back and it would relax and pop back in place. But I need to be careful. And it also, because with neck curl, even if I put a towel and a cap and everything, it just shreds my forehead skin. So it looked like I just fall on the ground, sometime, and I hit first, my head. So I just need to do the band to let my skin heal, because I sometimes even have irritation right there on like where I have my hair. So it's like all of this thing, so that's how I do it. And the neck training, like the neck gains, have been very fast at the beginning, like always. And now I'm basically fighting to get 20 inches cold and relaxed. And I am at 19, a bit more, 19 and a quarter or a third, something like that. And when it flex like that, I'm at 21. So, I just try to keep building what I have to build, and that's that. Yeah, like that. When I'm like this, it's 21.
Does that get the trap in it, or is that like just neck?
I think it gets the traps in it, honestly, because I cannot get the roll around without having some upper traps, like, here, right there. Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
I don't know.
But man, that's crazy. Like one of my biggest pet peeves, man, is when people say, just do deadlifts, bro. Just do deadlifts.
No.
It's like the guys I know who have the biggest necks, they all train it.
Yeah.
And to the guys who say, why do you want a big neck? And we shouldn't even be having this conversation, But the guys who have the biggest necks, they train it, and they train it long term, not just like once a week, not just like once a month, half-assed,
Yeah.
No, that's crazy, man. Those are some serious measurements, man. So you're basically almost at 20 inches. Have you ever tried a 4-way neck machine?
I never had once. a neck machine like that. I never tried it.
Yeah. My gym actually has one. I've been toying around with it. But like it's like when you do the lying version for the front of your neck, it's really easy to use like your lats, kind of like you're doing a pullover. So you have to really like condition your mind to just have your
Yeah,
hand.
you just hold it and you're just doing that. You're not pulling like that. Yeah.
It's easy though. It's really easy to do that. And like it's one of the lifts where like if I really wanted to, and if I was doing a neck curl, I could literally make my neck do none of the work, but it looks like it's working. Or I could literally make it do all the work, and you would never be able to tell because it's just so easy to cheat that lift, you know. But I could literally take like a 25-pound plate and make it feel really heavy. And I've noticed that the same thing goes to for the forward neck. If you're doing like it's not necessarily the lats as much, it's more the abs because you want to crunch.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Kind of hard to make that dissociation, but at the same time, you're not holding on to the pad that's on your forehead.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't go as heavy in some ways, but if you want to cheat the system of that exercise, then you just crunch it. So it's like I've noticed, like I think the neck is like the easiest muscle group to cheat, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for years, I was trying to find ways to get more out of less weight and not like just how can I get the neck to do as much of the work as possible. And I found that like iso holds, you know.
Yeah.
And not throwing the neck, just like if I'm just like literally like a preacher curl, like just like basically a bicep curl.
Yeah.
I don't want to throw it. I just want to, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've done some work with like with neck flex too, and I know you're associated with them, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So, and I noticed you go pretty heavy on the neck extension, eh?
Yep. And it feels great to have something that you know will not break, because I had some trash things from trash neck harness from Amazon prior to that, and I nearly injured myself with it. So now I know I can just pound away and it will not break. You know, it's like, I can just go like that, you know, and it's going to be, and it's comfortable. You know, I have to wear a cap because I have long hair, but some of my friends who have like are bald like you or have very short hair, they can just literally put the harness on it and it's comfortable. You know, it fits your head. You can even like you have scratches to adjust it to your head shape and size, so you can go wrong. You know, so that's why it's so great. It's like you have the perfect piece of equipment for your neck training. So I really like it.
Let's get into conditioning, man. Obviously,
Yeah.
people watching the one are like, look, Hersovyac is super lean. Probably does a ton of conditioning. I'm a huge advocate of conditioning. I actually like strongman style conditioning. It's a lot of like sled work, a lot of sled work, honestly, lately. It's very easy on recovery and like you push the sled one way and then you pull it back. So you could get like some kind of like upper back volume and it hits the quads decently well too, which carries over like the front squats and stuff. But what's your conditioning looking like?
Well, at the moment, I'm taking up boxing again, and I'm doing some jump ropes, and I would like to do some sprints, but I will need to go on the treadmill first to like condition my hips again before doing it on the tracks. But right now the conditioning is like once a week I do 20 minutes of jump ropes. If I have the time, I will do about an hour of boxing because my cardio is trash. It's trash, man. And yeah, that's about it really. But normally, like before 2020 and my knee problem and stuff, normally I would always find the time in my week to do at least 50 minutes of hill sprints, which were for me the best thing to like. I mean, you hate to do it, and then you feel like you're going to die, but the effects are so good, you know. And I think that's the best conditioning form. And I was also boxing with friends, so that's why I'm going to do it again, basically.
Okay, nice. How many times a week you do conditioning?
Just once. With my strength training, bodybuilding work, I cannot afford recovery-wise right now to do more than once. Maybe later in the future, I could bump it up to 2 if I can manage the intensity properly, or if I can make myself progress and have consistent results with just 3 times per week, like upper lower training. Or I would go back to a full body, but I would need to manage a lot of things, you know, to avoid systemic fatigue and make sure to recover enough from workout to workout. So just one for me. Yeah.
Let's talk John Meadows, man. Rest in peace.
Oh yeah.
What are some stuff? What's some stuff? I recently made a video, some stuff I learned from him. I'm curious on your part. Like, what are some like takeaways and stuff that like you strictly got from him?
Well, that's actually funny you say it because when he passed away, like a week after, I filmed a video, like trying to explain everything I learned from him, like a tribute, you know. And the sound, my micro bugged. The sound was so bad. It was I had to remove it. It was like I could not work on it, you know. But I really feel you on that because that guy, you know, there are some stuff he did that were very good. There are some stuff you could say that questionable, or you like, but how and why, you know. But like the whole thing is that he really helped a lot of bodybuilders and athletes, and he was a very clever man, like very smart, very educated. The thing that helped me the most, both as a personal trainer and an athlete, was his way of seeing the exercise order to avoid injuries. For example, for the legs, he would do leg curl, and then he would do the hip dominant, and then he would go onto like squats or leg press, and then right at the end, he would do the hack squat. And of course, for some people listening to you, to us right now, would be like, yeah, well, of course, you know, yeah, normal. Yeah, but at our time, 10 years ago, this would be revolutionary because we would always start with hack squat, like the hardest, the biggest movement, but there would also be the movement that would beat your joint. But we would still say, yeah, but I need to do it. And he came and he said, like, basically, you can warm up the joint, you can pre-exhaust the muscle with more joint-friendly exercise. And when you're a bit tired, but you can still go hard, you do this very big basic lift. And he did that for quads, he did that for hamstring, he did that for chest, he did that for many muscle groups. And that personally helped me a lot, especially with people that are very strong. So they have a lot of risk to actually snap their shit on very heavy basic movement, and also on people that lack the recovery capacity to withstand it weeks in, weeks out. That's the first thing that really helped me with John Meadows. The second thing was to actually tweak in exercise just because you feel like it. For example, you said lying leg curl for you does not work. However you put yourself, however you set it up. So you just do seated. For me, it's the reverse. I do not feel comfortable on a seated leg curl. I never ever had a great leg curl machine to work with to begin with, but I tried and it doesn't work. While on lying leg curl, even a trash Chinese replica machine works for me. So John Meadows, by saying that, it's like it's okay to do what you feel good, even if on internet and in the Bible of lifting, it is supposed to be the other way around, right? And about the arm training, I had some elbow problem because I was just going too hard, too much volume, too heavy. And he had the same problem at some point, and he said to basically lower the weight, find variations that are joint friendly, work them, and then at the end you do the least joint friendly variation, but you also less focused on the weight, but much more on the form and how you actually feel it, the internal cues basically. And that helped me to reach 45 centimeter arms that I have currently, so just under 18 inches. And it's basically just doing heavy work on arms, on things that does not hurt at all, that feels good, and anything that can potentially hurt me, I am very careful and I manage my volume and also my exercise order to avoid bothering my elbows, basically. And all of this come from him. It comes from John Meadows.
I like that. I like how you didn't pinpoint one exercise, like, okay, the Meadows row, and like you pinpointed like more of a philosophy, like the exercise sequence. Because you take two programs, look exactly the same, you just switch up the order of one. Now they're two completely different programs.
Totally, yeah.
And those swaps of the sequences you made, they might work so much better for one person, you know?
Totally. And yeah, if we speak about the middle row, well, first things first, I do not know how and why, but when I was beginning with lifting, so I was very young, I stumbled upon pictures of Rocco Colombo, you know, the Sardinian strongman, friends to Arnold, and he was doing middle row. So when I stumbled upon the John Meadows saying, "Oh, I invented the exercise and it's middle row and stuff," I'm like, but I already saw that. So I was, you know, it's fine, you know, it's just like the Bayesian curl, you know, that's not you did not invent shit. It's a stretch curl. do not try to put your name onto it. Or I could say this is Hersovyac rises and this is Hersovyac calf stuff, and then just I think for me it's ego, but for John Meadows it was revolutionary. But I already saw it, so I was like,
no,
really?
I'm pretty sure he gave he paid homage.
Yeah. And then exactly. He did an article on Nation to talk about the middle row, and then like 1 year later he did his top best rowing variation, and he said apparently Franco Colombo did that also. So my bad if I offended anyone. I just thought I was the first one to actually think through to it, but no problem. It's just like a row, and just do it. That's that's the most important thing. And I tried middle row, and of course it's fantastic. Whatever, if you pull in a straight line or like in an arch line for lats or upper back, it's just fantastic. Middle row for me were fantastic to catch up my rear delts. For traps, it was meh. I never really made it work that hard for traps, and I had side grip stuff, so it was fine. But for rear delt, I would find a position where I could squeeze it hard, and I would pull like that. All the stretch would be right there. So I was very happy with that. And for lats, it's just you have the perfect alignment. You pull from shoulder to hip. You have the stretch. You have the flex, and it's just about managing your core fatigue, and you're fine. So fantastic exercise, yeah.
No, definitely. Like it's true that he wasn't the first to come up with it, but it ties back to what we were talking about before about the marketing.
Totally, yeah.
Hersovyac training,
Exactly.
Bryant, it's tactical training. It's like you gotta. That's what I'm realizing with this day and age we live in now. It's like some people put their tag. It used to kind of bother me a bit, but now I realize that it's just what it is. People, they'll take their people with big followings, they take their tag, they put it on it, and some people they just want to be part of that.
Totally, yeah.
And it's cool. You could call it creating like a community, if you will, but it's like, okay,
yeah,
I want to do Hersovyac style training, or I want to do those medals rows. It's like,
no problem. Yeah, as long as we are honest about who invented or who we put forth the thing, But if we are really into this ego chasing kind of thing, like who really invented this and that, we will never ever train, and we will just be in books trying to find who is the first guy who talked about it, and the guy maybe just had a dream about it and he never even did it. So,
Right. Like if sometimes I remember I was talking to Kale Beck, the strongman, and no, I wasn't even talking to him. I saw a post. I did Q&A with him, but I remember not long after he made a post and he said, look, you got strongman competitors, bodybuilders, all these different realms of fitness. But to the average Joe walking the street, they look at all these as just guys who go to the gym, or women.
Totally, yeah.
So it's like all these different realms of fitness, we're all kind of like going against each other in some ways. We're like, okay, well, I'm doing this, you're doing. We all just train. We all put weights up and we put them down. And if you really take like a bird's eye view from this whole fitness world, what we're really trying to do is just get people more involved in fitness. If someone's obese, they're overweight, we're trying to get them into what we have going on,
Except
that's
CrossFit.
More than anything else,
Except CrossFit.
You like off, man, but CrossFit, like, they're fit, man.
No, I know.
Right.
Like pro CrossFitter are beasts, like recreational CrossFitter, it's weird. Like it's another subject, but pro CrossFitter, damn, the physics, the strength, the stamina, the skills, everything is like they are superhumans. That's incredible.
For sure. I don't know why people bash CrossFit so much, man. Like, and there's this one CrossFitter, the guy with the big beard. He's like very, you know who I'm talking about. He has like huge traps. He's like all over. Kind of looks.
Matt Fraser.
I think it might be him. Yeah, it might be him. Anyways, like some of these guys have like sick, serious physiques. The women too. But
yeah,
I want to wrap up this Q&A with like one of the biggest topics, which is like you already know what it is. The natty.
Oh, yeah.
So myself personally, it may have bothered me a bit in the past. I'm not gonna lie. Like influencers who were, low dosing, and they're just. I don't care if you do it. What gets under my skin is when people look at you dead in the eyes in the video and they say, "I'm a lifetime natural," and they're not. Yeah. I personally don't like that. If you want to be a shadow pinner or whatever, and you just don't mention it, that I can understand. I don't really like. I can understand it to a certain extent. At least you're not deceiving people to that extent, you know. But when you actually open your mouth and you start saying it, you know, it's a very controversial topic because now we're really getting into people's like personal opinions, and you understand what I'm saying? Like you're not a bad person because you've taken that route. I have people close to me who've taken that route as well, and there's no judgment. I just personally don't like it when they really lie and they say like, look, my physique. You see it all the time, like guys who just say, you know, my physique, it's just calisthenics, bro. Just calisthenics.
Mm.
Just calisthenics, and like, and they play it so innocent, you know. They have like they play it so humble, you know.
Yeah.
No tattoos, no like very basic style. They'll live in like a little like apartment or just like, you know, they'll have like a very not to, I'm just making up a fictional character by the way, but like they'll make it seem like they have nothing, you know? Like, oh, I grew up with nothing, and just they make it seem like they're a have-not, you know? And like all I have is just like these little weights at home, and you know, or I'll go train at this little gym, and like that's it. That's all I do, guys. But it's like they're blasting tons of stuff, and it's like that's your secret right there. But they're making it seem like, oh, you know, it's just discipline, man. You just gotta train harder. You know, that's. I know I sound kind of salty right now. It is what it is.
That's not being salty, I believe, because it would trigger me too. I mean, you're dishonest, and it's not being just dishonest with yourself. It's also being dishonest with many people. And it doesn't cost you anything, as you say. If you're just in a tiny house with a tiny dumbbells, in a tiny gym, and in a normal life, it doesn't cost you shit to just say, I'm using steroids just because I feel like it will help me maintain and obtain a physique that I like. I'm training, but I'm using stuff, period. The guy, if you would be some Hollywood star and you have 20 sponsors and it really cannot say it, it's different, you know? And it's also different when you're saying I'm natural, but you have all these sponsors and you're clearly not. And also when you're just not answering and you have these sponsors. Some of the time it's just like the sponsor, I think, pressure the person, because more and more there are pro bodybuilders now that are openly talking about it. They're like, yeah, I just pinned myself 3 times this morning, this and that, and I'm going to do this because now I'm going to cut for this show, and you know, that's that. And
Yeah, I
I
like that.
think that the problem is not about taking it, because I have friends that are taking it, and there is no problem with that. They are not extraterrestrial persons. They are not aliens. They're like us, you know. They just choose to use steroids, and it's fine. And they're telling it, and they're like, yeah, I'm taking this X amount of dosage, X amount a week, and that's that. And I even trained some people that were using it. I was very uncomfortable because I say I have absolutely no pharmacology knowledge at all. For me, Deca and Durabolid were the same thing, you know, so that's how dumb I was at some point. And I just feel like it's not going to be the same. And it's true, there are some stuff that are widely different from a natural and a geared athlete. Even if the cookie cutter things are the same, you try to be stronger, add rep, add set, recover, eat well, do not get some health issues, and that's basically it. But of course, there are a lot of details that you need to take care about inside. But as long as you're honest about it, you
Yeah,
know, it's
I
like
follow.
me, like I'm natural, but there are many guys that are telling me if you were to try a little cycle, you would gain X amount of muscle, and it would take you 1 or 2 years to even lose it, because everything you're doing is so clean. So I'm like, you know what, maybe later I will just do it once or twice, I don't know. But if I do it, I will tell it, you know, because I am under the impression, maybe I'm a bit naive, but I'm under the impression that if people stumble upon me and they're like, oh, now he's using, I will have some other people that will have an IQ high enough to say, yeah, but look at his 15 years of training natural. He's not dead thanks to the products. He's thanks here to everything he did prior. And then he's just the comical helps. But then again, when I will stop, I'll say, yeah, I'm stopping, you know. I'm just not in the, like if classic physique would have existed when I started training, maybe I would have used it, because when I do something, I do it 100%. So I would have tried to go to Mr. Olympia classic physique, because I would have felt like I have a shot. Because even to this day, I feel like I have somewhat have a shot to be one of the best classic physique athletes in the world, you know, if I was to use something. But right now, I'm 28. Chris Bumstead, who is the reigning champion, is the same age, and he has been using performance enhancing drug for at least starting around 19 to 20. Let's not like lie about it. So he has 8 years of advance on me of AAS. So if I start juicing now, I would need how long to be competitive? 3 years, 5 years? In 5 years, I would be 33. 33, I would like to be married and have a family and start having babies. I would not try to be in string, on stage and try to be the best bodybuilder. It would have been for my 20s, when I'm trying to build a career, etc. So that's why I'm not interested anyway in drugs and steroids. It's because if I were to use steroids, it would be for competition. Am I going to do competitions? No. Well, then no steroids. Simple. It doesn't go further. As long as you're honest, shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, if you're honest about it, you have all my respect. I follow guys on IG, some guys, especially from the UK, and they'll literally have a post. Let's say this is my split. I'm getting this is my protein, carbs, and fats. These are my steps I'm getting per day, and this is what I'm running.
Yeah.
And they're just like that. They're past all the honesty stuff. They're past all the lying stuff. They're just straight up about it, and that's it. Me personally, I respect that. Now, does somebody have to nobody, you don't owe that. If you are on it, you don't necessarily owe that to anybody either, though, So I understand the ones who just keep their mouths shut, because it's like they don't have to necessarily wear a t-shirt like, I'm running this. But the problem is like when you start this, like you start to credit. I just don't like it when they downplay it. I hear that a lot, they start saying it's just the cherry on top, and I don't.
They're like, it's just TRT, bro. Yeah, 4 milligram, 400 milligram per week. TRT. Oh yeah. It's like, come on, bro.
I look at the natural thing like a lost art too, like I scroll through socials and it's hitting me more and more now. I'm just like, because I follow a lot of fitness pages and I'm just like, wow, like I was watching this one video, this guy, he's saying like, look, like you don't get a badge of honor when you die because you're natural. And he's right.
True. Yeah.
But it's like not all you could still be natural and still stand for it, and just because you're natural doesn't mean you think steroids are bad. You just don't, you know what I'm saying? It's like if I
not interested,
red and that's it.
Just like some steroid user could say, stay natural. Don't do steroids. It happens too, because they had maybe some problems with their health or whatever, and they would have never had that if they were not using steroids. So they are using it. They are maybe addicted to it, or they have to keep using it for their health now, and they're like, stay natural. It goes both ways, And even what I do not like often is that the misinterpretation of some people saying that old school era athletes were natty because we did not have testosterone replacement therapy at the time. Yes, it is true, but you had cocaine in wine, and you had ephedrine freely being marketed in any health store. So you could be on cocaine and ephedrine and claim natty. Tell me, Phil, is it natty to take cocaine and ephedrine? If you really want to go that deep in the rabbit hole, we can go very, very deep. And it's like, actually, since the dawn of time, athletes always try to have an edge on other athletes. So they are trying to eat some weird herbs. They are eating bull testicles. They are drinking whatever potions to try to have an edge. So can we really say we are natural anyway? And furthermore, right now, you're breathing air. In the air, there are pollution. And in the food you are eating and in the drink you are drinking, there are also some chemical shit. Are you natural then? It's like, come on.
I understand. But it's not, if I look at the bigger picture, I think it's just not just, but it's more so for the coming generations,
Yeah.
I think it's deeper than just us. I believe that in the future, the upcoming generations are going to be so pressured that like the new steroids are going to be like what creatine is now, that's going to be like steroids in the future. I believe to a certain extent.
And maybe IA boosting pictures also, like not photoshopping anymore. IA like retouching pics and stuff. Yeah, most likely.
It's just what it is, But all I'm going to say is that like not everybody has to go down that rabbit hole. And there's even some bodybuilders, for example, who say it's way easier to be natural than just to be on gear. Because if you're on gear, there's so like you do your weekly check-in, you have a coach, who does a weekly check-in, and you do like, hey, what was your sleep like? What was your stress levels like? How many steps did you get per day? How do your energy levels fluctuate? There's so many different factors, right? For a natural guy, when he does his weekly check-in, if you're enhanced and you have a coach and you have a weekly check-in, that's a long
Yeah.
sheet spreadsheet. There's a lot more stuff to fill out. There's a lot more stuff to monitor, and that's why some guys who are enhanced, they say like, look, there's a lot. It's quote unquote easier when you're natural, and like obviously it's harder because to put on tissue when you're natural. But like, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
totally. Yeah.
all I'm saying is like, if someone's gonna take that path, you gotta really know what you're getting yourself into. You know?
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, because you have to take care of the triglyceride. You have to even take care of like your pee color and stuff like that, and even how much you sweat, because you can dehydrate yourself, and with the timing of your injection, you can create yourself in hypoglycemia and stuff like that. So yeah, there is much more parameter to take in account. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So who's really, if people have trouble, if your average Gen Pop person has trouble just sleeping, just doing a meal prep, just showing up to the gym a couple times a week, what makes you think they're gonna be able to add in that fourth factor?
Yeah, they're playing with the fire right now. Yeah, totally.
And I know I kind of hogged that one, but anyways, man, if you have any like finishing thoughts, you got anything you want to say to the people watching? You got any messages you want to send out, or?
Well, thank you for watching or listening. Drop a like. Make sure to follow Philippe if it's not still the case. And I'm really glad to have been doing this with you, man. I really appreciate it. And I would just say, to keep doing what you're doing. And that's basically it. Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, man. Whenever you come down to Montreal, man, we're gonna get a lifting session in, and everybody watching up to this point, make sure to follow Hersovyac on IG, get him on socials, get him on YouTube as well. With that being said, we'll see you guys next time.
All right. Bye-bye.